up guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Mustang rebuild video. So in the last video, we got most of the subframe already built, and we also went ahead and bought a new OEM Ford motor mount. So we can go ahead and put this subframe underneath the car and start lining up the frame rails. But before we do that, I actually want to weigh this thing because a lot of people were saying, oh, it's gonna be way too heavy and a bunch of other stuff. So let's go ahead and put it on the scale and give it a weigh. So the subframe only weighs 56 pounds, which is pretty cool. We didn't even plan that. The stock one is around 65 pounds. So we will add a couple more gussets and we'll be right around stock weight. And that's awesome because we didn't even plan that. We kind of just started building and just hoped that it turned out, and it turned out awesome. Now let's go ahead and throw it under the car because we need to start planning the frame rails that are gonna go all the way back. So we have the subframe mounted underneath the motor and everything's looking pretty good. As you can see, we do have good distance for the oil filter removed. Kind of worried about that, but it turned out good. Now we need to start making the frame rails. We did have these older frame rails right here, the ones that we were going to use in the beginning, but we did decide to go ahead and get some thinner metal because as you can see, that is some thick metal. That's just going to add too much dead weight to the car. So big shout out to all the comments that said not to use that. So we got a little bit thinner metal right here. It's pretty strong, so I think it will work. And we also got the tube bender, so we're gonna be doing a lot of custom bracketing. So let's go ahead and see how we're gonna make these frame rails in the front. So we got both frame rails just mocked up on the subframe right here, and we are doing a aluminum crash bar in the front just for a little bit of weight savings, and it's also gonna take an impact if we do wreck this car. I'm sure we're not going to, but that's gonna go on somehow like this. We're gonna have to cut it down to size, but now we need to measure exactly how far we need the frame rails to come out. And we have the radiator and the fans. This is from the stock Mustang. So I'm thinking about right here would be perfect. And that's it right there. All that's gonna line up. And we probably will get some slim fans because I have no idea where we're gonna put the turbo system yet, but I've seen the kids, usually they go right here, which will look pretty cool underneath the hood. So now that we have all that figured out, let's go ahead and cut this bar right here down to size, and then we'll make the end caps for here so we can bolt this aluminum onto the frame rail. So we got the aluminum bar nice and cut down to size. Now we need to build the brackets that are gonna go inside. And what we're gonna do here is basically use this flat iron piece right here and cut it down to size and then TIG weld it inside there and probably put 2 nuts on the back. So once we put it in there, we can bolt this bar onto here. So we got both brackets made for the inside of here. Now we're gonna go ahead and use the flat disc and clean them all up. And we also need to drill 2 holes in here and weld nuts onto the back of it. So we have all the brackets nice and cleaned up and grinded on, and we also got all the bolts and the nuts. So now we need to go ahead and weld these nuts on here. And we're gonna be using our TIG 200 from Eastwood, really awesome machine. I've used it a couple of times, as you can see right here. That's where I was getting pretty good. That's where I started, so I'm learning. So let's go ahead and try to weld this up. So we got the reinforcement bar on the car. It looks beautiful. It's nice aluminum. And we also went ahead and drilled some bigger holes so we can get the bolts nice and inside there. Now we need to start figuring out how we're gonna make these frame rails all the way back, because the first attempt didn't go too good, but the good thing is we're learning and we're not quitting. We're gonna build this car. So I guess let's go ahead and see how we're gonna do it over there. So we're inside the Mustang right now, and basically what we have to do is go ahead and cut these frame rails down. We'll probably make a 90-degree cut right here, because we have to send this rail all the way down and along here, so we have nice coverage all the way through there, and so we have good distance for the wheels, so the wheel well isn't too small and we don't have no rubbing or anything. So let's go ahead and get this frame rail off and do some cutting. So we got one frame rail built, and as you can see inside here, this is where the old floor pan was right here. So we are gonna give a little bit more leg room in there, and it will be able to fit the nice big dash from the 2015. But as you can see, the frame rail is built. Now we need to just basically replicate all of these cuts right here onto this side, and we have the first frame rails on the car. So let's go ahead and get to cutting that side. So we have all the frame rail pieces nice and cut. Now it's time to go ahead and put them on the welding table and clean them all up so we can go ahead and tack them all together. So we got all the frame rail pieces nice and clean. Now it's time to go ahead and set them up and tack them all together. So we got both frame rails welded up, and we went ahead and installed them, and check that out. They go all the way back. Now we need to start working on the rear section. What we need to do is cut some more metal. We're basically gonna go up again, just like that, and then we're gonna have frame rails going all the way back. We'll probably build some brackets coming off the frame rails to hold the subframe. So let's go ahead and do some measurements and do some more cutting. So we got the first one cut, and it lines up pretty good. As you can see, it's gonna go in there just like that. And now we just need to cut one for the back, which is gonna be the frame rail that goes all the way to the back of the car. So let's go ahead and do some measuring, and then cut one for this side, and then duplicate everything for the other side. So we have the first frame rail that goes over the subframe complete. Now all we need to do is cut one more of these bars for here, and then we're gonna build custom brackets right here later. That's gonna bolt the subframe to here, and then we're gonna need to do a lot of reinforcing on this rear and a bunch of reinforcement on the entire frame so this frame doesn't twist or flex. So let's go ahead and cut another one of these, and then we'll start thinking of how we're gonna do the other reinforcements. So we have both frame sections in the back done. We went ahead and cut both of them out and they're nice and perfect. Now what we need to do is go ahead and clean up all these burrs off of here and then line them up perfectly, clamp them down and get them welded up. So we have got all 4 pieces nice and prepped. Now we need to set them up on the table exactly how they're gonna be. Just like that, check that out. Fits together perfectly. Now we're just gonna use these clamps to get everything nice and secure. So we got both rear sections nice and tacked up. I didn't really want to fully weld them. I didn't want to risk warping them. So now let's go ahead and put them back inside the rear and see how they fit up. So it is the next day here at the shop. We got most of the frame rails done. We just tacked everything together. Everything is looking good, looking level. Now we need to make sure the frame is square from the front all the way to the back. So what we're gonna do is measure the distance in the front and cut another bar, and we're gonna place it back here for reinforcement. We'll probably do 2 of them just to reinforce that rear section really nice so we don't have no problems. When we're driving this car, we don't want the frame twisting or shifting, so let's go ahead and do some measuring and get a bar welded in the back. So what we're gonna do is basically measure this area right here, and then we'll cut a bar that goes all the way in the back, and basically what that's gonna do is square the entire frame up so it's the same distance in the front as it is in the back. So we have this square tubing nice and cut, and we also went ahead and grounded it down and beveled the edges really nice so we get a nice welding area. Now let's go ahead and set it in the back exactly where we want it, just like that. Now we just need to clean up the frame rails and get this thing welded in. So we got this board nice and lined up, everything is nice and squared out and it's nice and level. Now it's time to weld it up. So we got the rear section welded in. Well, we kind of just tack welded it inside. We did put one bead on top. Check that out, looks really good. But we just tack welded everything for now because we are gonna be doing a lot of reinforcements on everything because we don't want this frame twisting or flexing, especially with all the power that this motor is gonna be pushing. We're doing the twin turbo system set up over there. And also we are gonna put the little plates that are gonna go all along right here. And we're gonna do that on every joint to make sure everything is nice and strong. And go ahead and drop down some suggestions. I know a lot of people have built frames before. Go ahead and drop down some suggestions of what we could do to make this frame a lot stronger. And we will be doing a lot of tube work also. So we're gonna put the roll cage, we're gonna kind of weld the roll cage into the frame, which is also gonna hold it and make it really nice and strong. And up here, if you guys remember our other frame rails we made, those are an absolute fail, but these look way better. We just tack welded it all together. Everything is lined up perfectly, and our subframe is sitting under there. It's holding the motor up, so I think it should be fine. It's been sitting on there for a couple of days now, so that's looking good over there. Over here, same exact way. We actually TIG welded this right here, which looks pretty good. I'm still learning how to do all of that. That's gonna be a wrap for today's video. So that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. As you can tell, we did a lot of work in today's video. We made the entire frame. You remember the other frame that we built was kind of a fail. It was way too heavy and it just was not right. But we got this one looking good. All the cuts are made perfectly. In the next video, we will go ahead and start building like the strut mounts and probably start building the fender mounts, get everything lined up in the front. But if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and also don't forget to follow me on Instagram and grab you some merch at vtune.com to support some more awesome builds.